purpose of stimulus control procedures is to get clients to perform a target behavior. Ultimately, however, for the behavior to continue, it must be reinforced. But what is reinforcement? To reinforce is to strengthen. The term reinforcement refers to strengthening a behavior so that the person will continue to perform it. Formally, reinforcement occurs when the consequences of a behavior increase the likelihood because it is based on the observation that the behavior recurs. Now, the reinforcing consequence is called a reinforcer. An individual receives the reinforcer only if they engages in the behavior. In other words, the reinforcer is contingent upon the behavior being performed. Whether a consequence is a reinforcer depends on its effects of the behavior, not on the person's subjective evaluation of the pleasantness or desirability of the consequence. Reinforcers are defined by their accelerating effects on the behaviors they follow. However, in most cases, reinforcers are pleasant or desirable consequences for the person. Reinforcers differ from rewards, and this is where I want you guys to pay special attention, because a lot of us believe that reinforcers are primarily the same thing as rewards. But reinforcers differ from rewards. Rewards are pleasant or desirable consequences of a behavior that do not necessarily make it more likely that the person will perform the behavior again. Receiving your driver's license is an example. You are rewarded for passing the driving test, but the reward does not result in your taking additional driving tests. Behavior therapists do not assume that a consequence will serve as a reinforcer. A potential reinforcer is identified and then made contingent on the client's engaging in the target behavior. If the behavior increases, then the therapist assumes the consequence was a reinforcer. Besides increasing the likelihood that the behavior will occur, reinforcers have a second function, providing positive feedback which informs people that they are engaging in appropriate behaviors and are performing them properly. For example, when you receive an A for a poem in a writing class, the grade tells you that you have written a good poem. Now let's dive into positive and negative reinforcement. Reinforcement always increases the frequency of a behavior. Let me repeat that again. Reinforcement always increases the frequency of a behavior. This accelerating effect can come about in two ways. When a pleasant or desirable stimulus is presented. So when it's presented as a consequence of a person's performing a behavior, it is known as positive reinforcement, and the consequence is a positive reinforcer. For instance, you hold the door open for your friend who is behind you, and your friend says, "Thank you." If hearing "thank you" makes you more likely to hold the door for your friend, or anybody else for that matter, in the future, then "thank you" is a positive reinforcer, and positive reinforcement has occurred. The other way that a behavior is accelerated through reinforcement occurs when an unpleasant or undesirable event is removed, avoided, or escaped from. In other words, it is subtracted as a consequence of a person's performing a behavior. This is negative reinforcement, and the consequence is a negative reinforcer. Many everyday behaviors are maintained by negative reinforcement. For example, taking an aspirin is reinforced by relief from pain. Napping is reinforced by decreased fatigue. Turning in a paper on time is reinforced by avoiding loss of points. And driving at the speed limit is reinforced by avoiding a ticket. In each instance, we avoid or escape from something undesirable. Although negative reinforcement plays an important role in maintaining people's behaviors, behavior therapists only occasionally use it as an intervention.